his family. All of his friends have disappeared. There's no one who cares and loves him. And so he persuades a local farmer to hire him. And the man sent him into the fields to feed the pigs. The young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him, but no one gave him anything. And I envision this young man, to be probably about 18. So if he's gone for over an hour without food, he's probably starving. And so if it's days, he's desperate. And so he's looking and he's recognizing that everything that he thought was going to fulfill him, give him hope, purpose, the life that he wanted has now come crashing down. And he's left desperate. So desperate that when he finally came to his senses, so now he turned about 40. Just kidding. He says to himself, at home, the hired servants have food enough to spare, and here I am dying of hunger. I will go home to my father and say, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant. And when I read this, I think, one, this has to be complete desperation. Because if this is a Jewish man who's grown up in the Jewish faith, which I believe he is, he has to know that many of the things he's done have not just gone against his father's wishes, but have gone against God. And so now, in many ways, he is unclean. And as a Jewish man feeding pigs, he's doubly unclean because pigs are an unclean animal for the Jewish people. And so I think it's important that we recognize that he's talking about having sinned against both heaven, God, and his earthly father. And he's recognizing the depth of where he's really, truly fallen. And I think what's interesting is a lot of times we hope that no one ever has to get there. You never have to become this destitute before you realize that, wow, there's something that I deeply need. And it's actually compassion and hope from God and from my Father. And so what I love too is he's rehearsing his speech. Like he's going to have to persuade his dad to bring him back. And I think what's interesting about this is I don't know if this son really ever fully grasped the character of his father. Because if he looked back, while he might have been upset and bitter, so far the actions of his dad tells me that his dad loved him. Loved him enough to give him his inheritance, up to maybe half of what he had. And I don't think it was probably if there was a farm, it might have meant they sold off half the farm so that this son could have his inheritance. For the brother who stayed, man, what are you doing, Dad? You're crazy. But I think the dad loves his son so much that he's willing to do what his son is asking him, knowing that his son is probably not going to do the best things with this, but knowing that he wants to demonstrate something to his son. So, because his son, I think, is starting to realize the character of his dad, that he recognizes that even though I've insulted my dad for the most egregious way possible, there's something about him that still might allow me to actually go back and just be a servant, right? Now, his dad would have every right to completely deny that he even exists in this world, to cut him off completely. But there's something about his father he's starting to recognize, that my dad might still let me come back home, but it wouldn't be as a son. So he's practicing his speech. I know none of you have ever practiced a speech before you have to say some hard words to someone, right? So he's getting this down. And I think he's practicing this speech the whole time he's traveling back home. And I don't think it's bringing him comfort. I think he's just got this question mark. Man, I'm hopeful, but what is my dad going to do? So he returned home to his father. And while he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming, filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. And I just want to pause this for a moment, because when Jesus is telling the story, really, we are this son. Many of us, before we come to know Jesus in our lives, we are far from him. And we've done anything and everything to dishonor him, even if it wasn't always an intentional and conscious choice, because sin lives in us. We have gone against the will of our Father. And we've actually, in many ways, done it intentionally. And yet, when we begin to journey towards Jesus, he doesn't wait and say, all right, let's see what you get. All right, let's see how you're going to walk in. Let's hear the speech that you have. Jesus comes running to us because he is so compassionate and so loving, and he is so desperate for us to know him, because he knows that in him is true life. And so he comes running to us. So regardless of where you are in your life right now, if you feel far from God, he is close. And if you turn to him and you repent and you ask him to come near, he will. And so I just want to highlight that. And what I love is the father runs out, and instead of recognizing what's happening, the son just goes into his speech. And so he says, his dad's embracing him. His dad's probably weeping. His dad's probably sweaty from running. We don't know how far he ran. His son just said to him, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. So this is the big speech. And now he's going to await his dad's answer. This is a classic dad move. His dad doesn't answer. His dad doesn't say anything to him. Instead, his dad turns to the servants. He says, quick, bring the finest robe in the house, which would be the father's robe, and put it on him. Get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet. Kill the calf that we've been fattening. We must celebrate with a feast. For this son of mine was dead and has now returned to life. He was lost and now he is found. So the party began. Jesus actually talks a lot about parties. We're not going to go into that right now. But there's a celebratory moment that the son never expected. Because I think if he was expecting that he was going to get in, the father would have been like, all right, walk down to the servants' quarters. That's where you're going to live. You're never going to talk to me. I'm never going to talk to you. But you can at least have some food and do some work. But instead, the father fully restores this man to full sonship. The best robe in the house is the father's robe. Rings are a symbol of wealth, of acceptance. You know, like it would be the sons of the master who would have rings on their fingers. To have sandals on his feet was a luxury that many servants and slaves would never have had. And so the father fully restores the son. And what I love is he never says, son, that was a great speech. You persuaded me. All right, you can be my son again. The father was